Now, still expanding on the Gog and Magog and the judgment on Jerusalem's sins. Kenya, the old Jerusalem. The Israelites, the true Israelites of the Lord Almighty. So, their judgment is here. Ezekiel chapter 22, verse 1, judgment on Jerusalem's sin. Kenya, the old Jerusalem, the city of David. The word of the Lord came to me. Son of man, will you judge her? Will you judge this city of bloodshed? Then confront her with all her detestable practices and say, this is what the sovereign Lord says. You city that brings on herself doom by shedding blood in her midst, and defiles herself by making idols. You have become guilty because of the blood you have shed, and have become defiled by the idols you have made. You have brought your days to a close, and the end of your years has come. Therefore, I will make you an object of scorn to the nations. Therefore, I will make you an object of scorn to the nations and a laughingstock to all the countries. Those who are near and those who are far away will mock you, you infamous city, full of turmoil. See how each of the princes of Israel, who are in you, uses his power to shed blood. In you they have treated father and mother with contempt. In you they have oppressed the foreigner and ill-treated the fatherless and the widow. You have despised my holy things and desecrated my Sabbaths. In you are slanderers, who are bent on shedding blood. In you are those who eat at the mountain shrines and commit lewd acts. In you are those who dishonor their father's bed. In you are those who violate women during their period, when they are ceremonially unclean. In you one man commits a detestable offense with his neighbor's wife. Another shamefully defiles his daughter-in-law. And another violates his sister, his own father's daughter. In you are people who accept bribes to shed blood. You take interest and make a profit from the poor. You extort unjust gain from your neighbors, and you have forgotten me, declares the Lord. Is it not happening? Is it not happening? We hear in the news of the bloodshed, the murders, the killing, the rape cases, even the confessions in YouTube. All these are happening. The detestable practices, the sins. Father-in-law having sex with their daughter-in-law, it is happening. Women being raped even during that period, it is happening. So this has summarized the judgment on Jerusalem sins. The Israel nation of the Lord Almighty, Kenyans. I continue. 13. I will surely strike my hands together at the unjust gain you have made, and at the blood you have shed in your midst. Will your courage endure, or your hands be strong in the day I deal with you? I, the Lord, have spoken, and I will do it. I will disperse you among the nations and scatter you through the countries. And I will put an end to your uncleanness. The end is coming very, very soon. When you have been defiled in the eyes of the nations, you will know that I am the Lord. 17. Then the word of the Lord came to me. Son of man, the people of Israel have become dross to me. All of them are the copper, tin, iron, and lead, left inside a furnace. They are but the dross of silver. Therefore, this is what the sovereign Lord says. Because you have all become dross, I will gather you into Jerusalem. As silver, copper, iron, lead, and tin are gathered into a furnace to be melted with a fiery blast, so will I gather you in my anger and my wrath, and put you inside the city and melt you. I will gather you and I will blow on you with my fiery wrath, and you will be melted inside her. As silver is melted in a furnace, so you will be melted inside her. And you will know that I, the Lord, have poured out my wrath on you. The Gog and Magog war finality. That's how they will be gathered together in Jerusalem, Kenya. And they will be melted inside the lake of fire together with the wicked people. 23. Again the word of the Lord came to me. Son of man, say to the land, you are a land that has not been cleansed or rained on in the day of wrath. It is true. So far you have seen it in the news, in the media, YouTube, how the other countries have been devastated by the Lord. The earthquakes, the tornadoes, the fire tornadoes, landslide, mudslides. You have all witnessed, Kenyans, but it has not happened to you. The fiery wrath of the Lord Almighty descending on this nation. So you are the country that has not been rained on with the wrath of the Lord Almighty. But now the time has come, because in Kenya is the finality of everything. But after this judgment, the Lord releasing his wrath, the Lord will feel avenged. And after this, there is glory, because it is the same Lord who will wipe all these tears and comfort us to the glory of the new heavens and the new earth, the new Jerusalem, city of God. So I continue. Son of man, say to the land, you are a land that has not been cleansed or rained on in the day of wrath. There is a conspiracy of her princes within her, like a roaring lion tearing its prey. They devour people, take treasures and precious things, and make many widows within her. Her priests do violence to my law and profane my holy things. They do not distinguish between the holy and the common. They teach that there is no difference between the unclean and the clean. And they shut their eyes to the keeping of my Sabbaths, so that I am profaned among them. Her officials within her are like wolves tearing their prey. They shed blood and kill people to make unjust gain. Her prophets whitewash these deeds for them by false visions and lying divinations. They say, this is what the sovereign Lord says, when the Lord has not spoken. The people of the land practice extortion and commit robbery. They oppress the poor and needy, and ill-treat the foreigner, denying them justice. So even the priests, the prophets, many of them are false. They are just satisfying their own needs, gaining, feeding on the flock. So their time has come. They won't be spared. They too will be burned in the furnace of the Lord, the lake of fire. I looked for someone among them who will build up the wall and stand before me in the gap on behalf of the land, so that I will not have to destroy it. but I found no one. So I will pour out my wrath on them and consume them with my fiery anger, bringing down on their own heads all they have done, declares the sovereign Lord. The Lord has called many times, but no one has answered. He has called through me, but no one has answered. Since last year, 2023, the Lord has been calling, but no one has answered. He was looking for someone to stand in the gap, but no one was able to. So, the Lord is accomplishing everything by himself through me because he has sent me. He looked for someone just to stand in the gap, but he found none. Mwenye amejipa. But now, he decided to use me to accomplish his purpose. And when the media comes, on the day when the law of the Lord will be read and the judgment book, I will expound on how the Lord called and no one answered. For truly the Lord called and no one answered. You see, with the generation of today, even the pastors and the priests, as long as you are young, you are new to the ministry, they won't listen to you when you tell them something. To them, it is them that they know it all. They don't want to listen. They don't want to look and see. They don't want to pray about it and consult God to give them the direction. For sometimes God only wants you to just obey and start what he wants you to do. And in the process, he will guide you and see you through. The first thing is just obeying. But no one. Many thought that I was possessed by demons. Because what I have is like you were born, you have grown up, you have had children, you have had grandchildren, you have had great-grandchildren. Then finally, you are being told that the parent that you know, either the mother or the father, that you know that this is my biological mother. Then you are told that this is not your biological mother. It was all a lie. So it's the word that I have today, the true word of the Lord Almighty that is not corrupted. And when I try to explain to those who I was sent to, they will listen, but nobody took any action. That's how the Lord called and no one answered. He was looking for someone who would stand on behalf of the land. Because I'm not known by the whole world. I am new. And remember, there's the prophecy that Ian Ndlovu prophesied, saying, only they knew that the Lord has been hiding in Kenya will bring the final change. So I was sent to particular people who are known, but they heard, but they kept silent. Walikanyagia. So that is how the Lord called and no one answered. Even I used to prophesy in my WhatsApp page. And there's a time towards the end when the Lord instructed me that the people who are my friends, I should instruct them that the prophecies should go viral and reach the people that have to be contacted. And I wrote the media, Citizen, Evelyn Mwalili, and even I wrote Raila but they never did. That's how the Lord called and no one answered. I used to get attacks, inbox attacks. To many, they said that I am possessed by demons. They don't agree, and that was the voices of darkness. So many think that they are holy, they are true, they are righteous, but no, they are still under dark covenants, and the voices of darkness control them. And these voices of darkness has made them to say that they know it all. Nobody or anyone can change their mind by anything new that has been said. So, the Lord looked for someone, but he found none. So the grace period has expired. Even right now, I'm still waiting for the media. I am still waiting for the media. January end is just next week. And the grace period ends this January this year. Past that, I will just be hearing, looking, and seeing how people are struggling to flee to the desolation. Because I am already in Mount Zion, waiting for the heirs of the Lord Almighty to read to them the laws and what has to be happened. So people of the land, the Israel nation of the Lord Almighty, obey the King, obey the Lord Almighty. And at that time, when the terrors happen, you will know that a prophet was sent to you. But everybody's doing their own things. They don't want to listen, they don't want to humble. They will know that a prophet was sent to them. To some, it is just like a love song being sung. A love song being sung. Inaingia huku, inatoka huku. You will cry. Utafikiria utatoroka mbio na gari yako ufike huku, but barabara itakuwa imeharibika. Utafikiria utatoka ufike huku, but utapata wild animals wako kwa wanatembea. There is terror ahead. Terror is lying ahead. There's the famine of the word. This great famine of food. Only Bungoma and Nalondo. Only Bungoma and Kakamega are the only places that there will be life. The rest, it will lie desolate. And this is the fulfillment of the prophecy, 2005 prophecy of David O'War in Elbagon, that the Lord wants to use Kenya for the end time revival, the resurrection. Because he had a vision of a golden ring surrounding Bungoma, and from it emerged 4 arrows spreading to the 4 corners of the world. So it is not a joke. It is not a joke. Ezekiel chapter 24, Jerusalem as a cooking pot. In the 9th year, in the 10th month, on the 10th day, The word of the Lord came to me, Son of man, record this date, this very date, because the king of Babylon has laid siege to Jerusalem this very day. Tell these rebellious people a parable and say to them, this is what the sovereign Lord says. Put on the cooking pot, put it on and pour water into it. Put into it the pieces of meat, all the choicest pieces, the leg and the shoulder. Fill it with the best of these bones. Take the pick of the flock. Pile wood beneath it for the bones. Bring it to the boil, and cook the bones in it. For this is what the sovereign Lord says. Woe to the city of bloodshed, to the pot now encrusted, whose deposit will not go away. Take the meat out piece by piece, in whatever order it comes. For the blood she shed is in her midst. She poured it on the bare rock. She did not pour it on the ground, where the dust will cover it. To stir up wrath and take revenge, I put her blood on the bare rock, so that it will not be covered. Therefore, this is what the sovereign Lord says. Woe to the city of bloodshed. I, too, will pile the wood high. So heap on the wood and kindle the fire. Cook the meat well, mixing in the spices, and let the bones be charred. Then set the empty pot on the coals till it becomes hot and its copper glows, so that its impurities may be melted and its deposit burned away. It has frustrated all efforts. Its heavy deposit has not been removed, not even by fire. Now your impurity is lewdness, because I tried to cleanse you, but you will not be cleansed from your impurity. You will not be clean again until my wrath against you has subsided. You will not be clean again until my wrath against you has subsided. I, the Lord, have spoken. The time has come for me to act. I will not hold back. I will not have pity, nor will I relent. You will be judged according to your conduct and your actions, declares the sovereign Lord. Jeremiah chapter 25 verse 15, the cup of God's wrath. This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, said to me. Take from my hand this cup filled with the wine of my wrath, and make all the nations to whom I send you drink it. I took the cup and am making you drink, because you are the nations, the whole world, that the Lord has sent me to you. When they drink it, they will stagger and go mad because of the sword I will send among them. So I took the cup from the Lord's hand and made all the nations to whom he sent me drink it. Jerusalem and the towns of Judah, its kings and officials, to make them a ruin and an object of horror and scorn, a curse as they are today. Why are we cursed? Because of disobedience to the Lord Almighty. We are under a curse because we disobey the Lord Almighty. Remember the curses for obedience, the blessings for obedience and the curses for disobedience that were pronounced at Mount Ebal. Everything is happening today. Pharaoh, king of Egypt, his attendants, his officials and all his people, and all the foreign people there, all the kings of Uz, all the kings of the Philistines, those of Ashkelon, Gaza, Ekron, and the people left at Ashdod, Edom, Moab, and Ammon, all the kings of Tyre and Sidon, the kings of the coastlands across the sea, Dedan, Teba, Buz, and all who are in distant places, all the kings of Arabia and all the kings of the foreign people who live in the wilderness, all the kings of Zimri, Elam, and Media, and all the kings of the north, near and far, one after the other, all the kingdoms on the face of the earth. After all of them, the king of Sheshach will drink it too. Every nation is drinking the cup of the wine of the Lord's wrath. Tell them, this is what the Lord Almighty, the God of Israel, says. Drink, get drunk, and vomit, and fall to rise no more, because of the sword I will send among you. But if they refuse to take the cup from your hand and drink, tell them, this is what the Lord Almighty says. You must drink it. See, I am beginning to bring disaster on the city that bears my name. Which city bears the name of the Lord Almighty? The Old Jerusalem, Kenya. That's why you find when the Spirit of the Lord manifested in Revelation Ministries 3 months ago. The video is in YouTube. God's awful voice against the nation, against Martha Koome, against USA, against India. The Spirit of the Lord was saying, Mutafiekwa. And also, it spoke and said, Niliweka Kenya kama kumbukumbu yangu. So Kenya is the city that bears the Lord's name. See, I am beginning to bring disaster on the city that bears my name. And will you indeed go unpunished? You will not go unpunished, for I am calling down a sword on all who live on the earth, declares the Lord Almighty. Which sword is it? The sword that is coming? The Gog-Magog war, the valley of slaughter, the looming bloodshed prophecy of Prophet Samuel Mitsubai. It is coming and it is about to be fulfilled. Very soon it will be sudden terror. Now prophesy all these words against them and say to them, the Lord will roar from on high. He will thunder from his holy dwelling and roar mightily against his land. He will shout like those who tread the grapes. Shout against all who live on the earth. The tumult will resound to the ends of the earth. For the Lord will bring charges against the nations. He will bring judgment on all mankind and put the wicked to the sword, declares the Lord. I'm still on the Spirit of God manifestations at Revelation Wisdom, the Shamar Prophet Onyango. And the Spirit spoke and said to Ruto, you will be an example to all the kings of the earth. What I will do to you, I am still the Lord who did what I did to Nebuchadnezzar. The video is in YouTube. Find it. Find it. And hear for yourself. This is what the Lord Almighty says. Look, disaster is spreading from nation to nation. A mighty storm is rising from the ends of the earth. Again, William Samoei Ruto, Prophetess Celestial. The prophecy has been out that a storm is coming. Which storm is coming? There is the slaughter that is coming. And many people will be slaughtered. And the bodies will never be buried. They will be like dung lying on the ground. And when the Spirit of the Lord manifested at Revelation Wisdom, it also said, Mili tatapakaa kama kinyesi. They will not be buried. They will lie in the open field like dung lying on the ground. And still, there is a tsunami coming at the coast of Kenya. And the sea will be no more. Because it is the ancient Babylon land. Babylon is fallen. Babylon is fallen. So, flee from Babylon. Those who are righteous, flee from Babylon. Because Babylon is fallen. Great disasters are coming. There is the slaughter, there is the tsunami, and there is the eternal lake of fire. There are wild animals to devour the land. There is great famine, even the famine of the world. You are seeing birds appearing, swarms of birds appearing. They are being gathered for the feast that is about to happen. This slaughter, this bloodshed, is the feast of the birds and the wild animals. The feast that the Lord has prepared for them. So they have started gathering. You are seeing the swarms of birds all over the world. Even recently, some appeared in Nairobi. They are being gathered for the slaughter that is about to happen. At that time, those slain by the Lord will be everywhere, from one end of the earth to the other. They will not be mourned or gathered up or buried, but will be like dung lying on the ground. Weep and wail, you shepherds. Roll in the dust, you leaders of the flock, for your time to be slaughtered has come. You will fall like the best of the rams. The shepherds will have nowhere to flee. The leaders of the flock, no place to escape. Hear the cry of the shepherds, the wailing of the leaders of the flock. For the Lord is destroying their pasture. They have been feeding on the people. Instead of shepherding them, they have been feeding on the people. So the people became their pasture for them to feed on. The peaceful meadows will be laid waste because of the fierce anger of the Lord. Like a lion he will leave his lair, and their land will become desolate because of the sword of the oppressor and because of the Lord's fierce anger. Revelation chapter 18 verse 17. Revelation chapter 19 verse 17. Then I saw an angel standing in the sun. This only means that this person is clothed with the light of the Lord Almighty. Because literally, someone will have the picture of an angel standing right above in the sun. But the saints of the wise. Then I saw an angel standing in the sun, and he cried with a loud voice, saying to all the birds that fly in the midst of heaven, come and gather together for the supper of the great God, that you may eat the flesh of kings, the flesh of captains, the flesh of mighty men, the flesh of horses, and of those who sit on them, and the flesh of all people, free and slave, both small and great. And I saw the beasts, the kings of the earth, and their armies, gathered together to make war against him who sat on the horse, and against his army. So who is him who sat on the horse? The exalted King of the Lord Almighty, Raila Amolo Odinga. And against his army. Which army is this? The righteous people of the Lord Almighty, who will be together with the King of the Lord Almighty at the desolation. Then the beast was captured, and with him the false prophet who worked signs in his presence, by which he deceived those who received the mark of the beast, and those who worshipped his image. These two were cast alive into the lake of fire burning with brimstone. And the rest were killed with the sword, which proceeded from the mouth of him who sat on the horse. And all the birds were filled with their flesh. Back to Ezekiel chapter 39, verse 17, which explains about the Gog and Magog war. Verse 17 to 20, Son of man, this is what the sovereign Lord says. Call out to every kind of bird and all the wild animals. Assemble and come together from all around to the sacrifice I am preparing for you, the great sacrifice on the mountains of Israel. There you will eat flesh and drink blood. You will eat the flesh of mighty men and drink the blood of the princes of the earth, as if they were rams and lambs, goats and bulls, all of them fattened animals from Bashan. At the sacrifice I am preparing for you, you will eat fat till you are glutted, and drink blood till you are drunk. At my table you will eat your fill of horses and riders, mighty men and soldiers of every kind, declares the sovereign Lord. Now, with the finality of the Gog and Magog war, it will mark also the finality of the overturnment of royal thrones. The Gog-Magog are Europeans. Now, still on the Gog-Magog war, Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 21, I will summon a sword against Gog on all my mountains, declares the sovereign Lord. Every man's sword will be against his brother. Now, the overturnment of royal thrones. Haggai chapter 2, verse 22. I will overturn royal thrones and shatter the power of the foreign kingdoms. I will overthrow chariots and their drivers. Horses and their riders will fall, each by the sword of his brother. So that will become the finality of even the foreign kingdoms controlling Kenya. And that will mark the end. It will no longer be Kenya, but the Israel nation of the Lord Almighty. The one nation under one king, Raila Amolo Odinga and Prince Samuel Barasa Kibisi. So, that is how the Lord is shaving all the nations of the earth. Ezekiel chapter 5, verse 1, God's razor of judgment. Now, son of man, take a sharp sword and use it as a barber's razor to shave your head and your beard. Then take a set of scales and divide up the hair. When the days of your siege come to an end, burn a third of the hair inside the city. Take a third and strike it with the sword all around the city, and scatter a third to the wind, for I will pursue them with drawn sword. But take a few hairs and tuck them away in the folds of your garment. Again, take a few of these and throw them into the fire and burn them up. A fire will spread from there to all Israel. This is what the sovereign Lord says. This is Jerusalem, which I have set in the center of the nations, with countries all around her. This is Kenya now. Yet in her wickedness, she has rebelled against my laws and decrees, more than the nations and countries around her. We are the descendants of Jacob, but we are the most hardened people. Tunasema hatupangwingwi, lakini mara hii Mungu anawapanga. She has rejected my laws and has not followed my decrees. Therefore, this is what the sovereign Lord says. You have been more unruly than the nations around you, and have not followed my decrees or kept my laws. You have not even conformed to the standards of the nations around you. Yani, you have stone hearts. You are rebels, the descendants of Jacob, the holy nation of the Lord, most rebellious than the other nations. Therefore, this is what the sovereign Lord says. I myself am against you, Jerusalem, Kenya, and I will inflict punishment on you in the sight of the nations. Because of all your detestable idols, I will do to you what I have never done before and will never do again. The slaughter that is coming. It has never been done before and it will never be done again. It will mark the fulfillment of a war prophecy, the severest judgment coming to Kenya. Therefore, in your midst, parents will eat their children. The great famine that is coming. There will be no food, there will be no water. People will end up eating each other. The wicked people that even by this call, they will never repent. They will be caught in the snare, and they will wish to die, but they will not die. They will end up eating each other. Therefore, in your midst, parents will eat their children, and children will eat their parents. I will inflict punishment on you, and will scatter all your survivors to the winds. Therefore, as surely as I live, declares the sovereign Lord, because you have defiled my sanctuary with all your vile images and detestable practices, I myself will shave you. I will not look on you with pity or spare you. A third of your people will die of the plague or perish by famine inside you. A third will fall by the sword outside your walls, and a third I will scatter to the winds and pursue with drawn swords. Now, here the a third is reflected. Again, it is reflected in Revelation books, and here again, it is reflected. Who are these a third? We go back to Zechariah chapter 13, verse 7. The shepherd struck, the sheep scattered. Awake, sword, against my shepherd, against the man who is close to me. And I told you, this man that was struck close to God was Pastor Ezekiel. Declares the Lord Almighty. Strike the shepherd, and the sheep will be scattered. And I will turn my hand against the little ones. In the whole land, declares the Lord, 2/3 will be struck down and perish. Yet 1/3 will be left in. 1/3. Yet 1/3 will be left in. This third I will put into the fire. I will refine them like silver and test them like gold. They will call on my name, and I will answer them. I will say, they are my people, and they will say, the Lord is our God. So 1/3 will be left in it. This third I will put into the fire. I will refine them like silver and test them like gold. They will call on my name, and I will answer them. I will say, they are my people, and they will say, the Lord is our God. So the reflection here of the third. 1/3 will be left. But here is the reflection of a third. 1/3 of your people will die of the plague or perish by famine inside you. 1/3 will fall by the sword outside your walls. And 1/3 I will scatter to the winds and pursue with drawn sword. The continuation of the 1/3 in Revelation chapter 8, verse 7. The first angel sounded, and hail and fire followed, mingled with blood, and they were thrown to the earth. And 1/3 of the trees were burned up, and all green grass was burned up. Then the second angel sounded, and something like a great mountain burning with fire was thrown into the sea, and 1/3 of the sea became blood. And 1/3 of the living creatures in the sea died, and 1/3 of the ships were destroyed. Then the third angel sounded, and a great star fell from heaven, burning like a torch, and it fell on 1/3 of the rivers and on the springs of water. The name of the star is Wormwood. 1/3 of the waters became wormwood, and many men died from the water, because it was made bitter. Then the fourth angel sounded, and 1/3 of the sun was struck, 1/3 of the moon, and 1/3 of the stars, so that 1/3 of them were darkened. 1/3 of the day did not shine, and likewise the night. This explains the darkness that is coming. And I looked, and I heard an angel flying through the midst of heaven, saying with a loud voice, Woe, woe, woe to the inhabitants of the earth, because of the remaining blasts of the trumpet of the 3 angels who are about to sound. Now, again, the 1/3 continues. In Revelation chapter 9, let me start from 14. Revelation chapter 9, verse 14. Saying to the 6th angel who had the trumpet, Release the 4 angels who are bound at the great river Euphrates. So the 4 angels who had been prepared for the hour and day and month and year were released to kill 1/3 of mankind. You know, many are waiting that They will see the angels appear in the sky above, blowing the trumpet. But no, these angels are right among us. True men of God who have the anointing of the Almighty God. These are the people that are sounding the trumpets. Not by blowing them, but speaking and giving warning. So many are waiting to see angels appearing up in the sky above. But no, the angels are the purified people prepared for this end time work of the Lord. So the angels are just voices of man, the true men of God, in the spirit of the Lord himself. So the four angels who had been prepared for the hour and day and month and year were released to kill a third of mankind. Now, the number of the army of the horsemen was 200 million. I heard the number of them. And thus I saw the horses in the vision. Those who sat on them had breastplates of fiery red, hyacinth blue, and sulfur yellow, and the heads of the horses were like the heads of lions, and out of their mouths came fire, smoke, and brimstone. By these three plagues, a third of mankind was killed, by the fire and the smoke, and the brimstone which came out of their mouths. So the army is coming. For their power is in their mouth and in their tails, for their tails are like serpents, having heads, and with them they do harm. But the rest of mankind who were not killed by these plagues did not repent of the works of their hands, that they should not worship demons and idols of gold, silver, brass, stone, and wood, which can neither see nor hear nor walk. And they did not repent of their murders or their sorceries or their sexual immorality or their thefts. So the wicked will remain wicked. They will not repent. And their finality, the lake of fire. It was Ezekiel chapter 5, a continuation, verse 14. I had reached 14. I will make you a ruin and a reproach among the nations around you, in the sight of all who pass by. You will be a reproach and a taunt, a warning and an object of horror to the nations around you, when I inflict punishment on you in anger and in wrath and with stinging rebuke. I, the Lord, have spoken. When I shoot at you with my deadly and destructive arrows of famine, I will shoot to destroy you. I will bring more and more famine upon you and cut off your supply of food. I will send famine and wild beasts against you. I've already told you the wild beasts are coming to devour the land, and more famine is coming, because the Lord will cut off our supply of food and water and many other things needed for survival. I will send famine and wild beasts against you, and they will leave you childless. Plague and bloodshed will sweep through you, and I will bring the sword against you. I, the Lord, have spoken. So the sword is coming. The sword is coming. And this sword, the main purpose to end the leadership of William Samoei Ruto. He took the throne of God. Revelation 12, Kenya the woman in labor. So he, Chebukati, and the many others who participated, the sword is coming for them. They will not escape. And many other people will be slaughtered. From Nairobi to Mombasa, the sword is coming. The valley of slaughter. Ezekiel chapter 6. Dooms for the mountains of Israel. The word of the Lord came to me. Son of man, set your face against the mountains of Israel. Prophesy against them and say, you mountains of Israel, hear the word of the sovereign Lord. This is what the sovereign Lord says to the mountains and hills, to the ravines and valleys. I am about to bring a sword against you, and I will destroy your high places. The city will be burned up. All the tall buildings that you see, KICC, State House, Parliament buildings, everything, they are coming down to nothing. The city will be captured and burned down. And more still, there are earthquakes coming. Terror is ahead. Much terror is ahead. And I will destroy your high places. Your altars will be demolished, and your incense altars will be smashed. And I will slay your people in front of your idols. You know, there are many buildings in secrecy. When you look at them, they have been built or constructed, just normal buildings. But they have secret underground tunnels that they are able to do the sacrifices. Human sacrifices, blood sacrifices. People are kidnapped, tortured. Their human body parts, especially breasts, their reproductive organs taken for the rituals. They have secret underground tunnels that they are able to achieve their sacrifices. Even the burning of these organs to ashes. And when they burn these organs to ashes, these body organs are used for rituals. Many people have been entered into dark covenants, knowingly or unknowingly. They can mix them through food, especially the manufactured foods. Some in hotels. Some people visit witchcrafters. Unapata some incisions are made on your skin and something is applied. So, those ashes are mix of even human body parts that have been crushed. Sometimes you are made to leak. So there are many dark rituals being done. This business, human body parts business, and kidnapping of children, even those who are grown-ups, it is a cartel of business, of very high-ranked people in power. And mostly they are using the jobless people to accomplish these works. Even the children who go missing in hospitals, some are stolen for these rituals. Not everybody employed in the hospital is a genuine staff. Some are secret agents of the devil. They are there for purpose, and they are being protected by some leaders in government, because they have to renew this covenant so that they are able to gain more power and stay in power. So a lot is happening. A lot is happening. Even with the manufactured food that are sold in the supermarkets. Many love biscuits, many chocolates, many things, foods. They have undergone rituals. So you end up staying in torment. You end up staying in total blindness. And even some political leaders, the main reason they have failed to gain power and be in power, mostly during the campaign periods, they always visit many different areas campaigning. They may go to Lowland, they may go to Bukusuland, they may go to the coastland. And you find when they visit these places, you find many of them are made to wear the traditional attires. And these traditional attires are ritualic attires. So unabeba ukifunika, unabeba ukifunika. You went there empty and whole. But kitambo umalize, umejazwa na spirits za kila ni community. Inakuhaunt. You stay under dark covenants, hujielewi. Hapo ndipo pia wengine wamefungwa, wasiweze kuwa leaders. The witchcraft and sorceries. And when we talk about the false prophets, haimaanishi to the people who say they are men of God, but they are false prophets. Also, these leaders who gained power in evil and greedy way, they too are false prophets, in that someone else will look at them and wish to be like them. They act as role models to the young ones. But remember, the honor they are having is by false means. So they are also false prophets. And to add on this list, we have the witchcrafters and sorcerers. They too are false prophets. So the false prophets, it is not only limited to the people who they have branded themselves as men of God, but they are of sheep clothing. It is wide. It is wide. Let me continue. Your altars will be demolished and your incense altars will be smashed. And I will slay your people in front of your idols. I will lay the dead bodies of the Israelites in front of the idols, and I will scatter your bones around your altars. Wherever you live, the towns will be laid waste, and the high places demolished, so that your altars will be laid waste and devastated, your idols smashed and ruined, your incense altars broken down, and what you have made wiped out. Your people will fall slain among you, and you will know that I am the Lord. But I will spare some, for some of you will escape the sword when you are scattered among the lands and nations. Then in the nations where they have been carried captive, those who escape will remember me, how I have been grieved by the adulterous hearts, which have turned away from me, and by their eyes, which have lusted after their idols. They will love themselves for the evil they have done, and for all their detestable practices. And they will know that I am the Lord. I did not threaten in vain to bring this calamity on them. This is what the sovereign Lord says. Strike your hands together and stamp your feet and cry out. Alas, because of all the wicked and detestable practices of the people of Israel. For they will fall by the sword, famine, and plague. One who is far away will die of the plague, and one who is near will fall by the sword. And anyone who survives and is spared will die of famine. So will I pour out my wrath on them, and they will know that I am the Lord, when their people lie slain among their idols around their altars, on every high hill and on all the mountaintops, under every spreading tree and every leafy oak, places where they offered fragrant incense to all their idols. And I will stretch out my hand against them, and make the land a desolate waste from the desert to Diblah. Wherever they live, then they will know that I am the Lord. Vitu vyote vitapita, lakini neno litasimama. The time has come. Neno linasimama, but the rest zinapita kama upepo. Ezekiel chapter 7. The end has come. The word of the Lord came to me. Son of man, this is what the sovereign Lord says to the land of Israel. The end has come upon the four corners of the land. The end is now upon you, and I will unleash my anger against you. I will judge you according to your conduct, and repay you for all your detestable practices. I will not look on you with pity. I will not spare you. I will surely repay you for your conduct and for the detestable practices among you. Then you will know that I am the Lord. This is what the sovereign Lord says. Disaster unheard of disaster. See, it comes. The end has come. The end has come. It has roused itself against you. See, it comes. Doom has come upon you who dwell in the land. The time has come. The day is near. There is panic. There is panic, not joy, on the mountains. I am about to pour out my wrath on you and spend my anger against you. I will judge you according to your conduct and repay you for all your detestable practices. I will not look on you with pity. I will not spare you. I will repay you for your conduct and for the detestable practices among you. Then you will know that it is I, the Lord, who strikes you. See the day. See, it comes. Doom has burst forth. The rod has budded. Arrogance has blossomed. Violence has arisen. A rod to punish the wicked. None of the people will be left. None of that crowd, of the wicked crowd. None of their wealth. Nothing of value. The time has come. The day has arrived. Let not the buyer rejoice, nor the seller grieve, for my wrath is on the whole crowd. The seller will not recover the property that was sold, as long as both buyer and seller live, for the vision concerning the whole crowd will not be reversed. Because of their sins, not one of them will preserve their life. They have blown the trumpets. They have made all things ready, but no one will go into battle, for my wrath is on the whole crowd. Outside is the sword, inside are plague and famine. Those in the country will die by the sword. Those in the city will be devoured by famine and plague. The fugitives who escape will flee to the mountains. Like doves of the valleys, they will all mourn, each for their own sins. Every hand will go limp, every leg will be wet with urine. They will put on sackcloth and be clothed with terror. Every face will be covered with shame, and every head will be shaved. They will throw their silver into the streets, and their gold will be traded as a thing unclean. The silver and gold will not be able to deliver them in the days of the Lord's wrath. It will not satisfy their hunger or fill their stomachs, for it has caused them to stumble into sin. They took pride in their beautiful jewelry and used it to make their detestable idols. They made it into vile images. Therefore, I will make it a thing unclean for them. Now, when I talk about idols doesn't mean that when you have the images of something in your house, not only that, or if you have reared snakes, like how the witches do, but anything that you have exalted and you honor, anything that you have exalted in your life and you honor and you love more than the Lord Almighty, that is an idol. So even your clothes can be an idol to you. Even your jewelry can be an idol to you. Even your own kid, your own spouse, your own brother, your own parent can be an idol. That's why we have godparents. A godparent is an idol. So there are some people that they can't go out without maybe wearing trousers. You can't go out without maybe makeup. That is an idol that you are worshipping. You can't live without it. Remember, God is the supreme. He is a jealous God. You have to love your God more than anything else. So, idols, even food can be an idol. So when I say about idol, haimaanishi tu wale wachawi wenye wamefanya nini, wamefuga nyoka, wengine wamefuga panya, ama wako na masanamu. But understand that an idol is anything that you have loved, you have honored, and you have exalted, you can't do without, rather than the Lord Almighty. Understand that. 21, Ezekiel chapter 21. I will give their wealth as plunder to foreigners, and as loot to the wicked of the earth, who will defile it. I will turn my face away from the people, and robbers will desecrate the place I treasure. They will enter it, and will defile it. Prepare chains, for the land is full of bloodshed, and the city is full of violence. I will bring the most wicked of nations to take possession of their houses. I will put an end to the pride of the mighty, and the sanctuaries will be desecrated. When terror comes, they will seek peace in vain. Calamity upon calamity will come, and rumor upon rumor. They will go searching for a vision from the prophets. Priestly instruction in the law will cease. The counsel of the elders will come to an end. The famine of the word. The king will mourn. The prince will be clothed with despair, and the hands of the people of the land will tremble. I will deal with them according to their conduct, and by their own standards I will judge them. Then they will know that I am the Lord.